Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to a video by me, YuGiOh Days. I know I've been off for a little bit, but that doesn't really matter because 5% of my viewers are my subscribers, the other 95% are not subscribed. So that is letting me know basically that most of my views obviously don't come from my subscribers. I get way more views than subscribers, most people do. But I would like to ask you to subscribe right now, guys, or not yet, but just don't forget at the end of the video. If you liked the video and you want to see more of my content, subscribing is the best way to keep in touch. So I got some fall sleeves here, some orange ones, pretty cool. But yeah, today we're going to be going into a budget profile for World Chalice. Before we continue, there's a few cards here that aren't budget, but that's because they're like hand traps and stuff, and they're just hand traps that I have. And basically, depending on your budget, you can increase the power of your hand traps. Everything else is basically a staple in this deck, except for one little engine that I will show you. But we aren't running Firewall, we aren't running Kaijus, because first of all, Game Seal is $10. Firewall drives like 50, 60 right now, and you need like 2 of those and 2 Game Seals. The most expensive card in here is probably one of the more important hand traps, which is Ghost Ogre. Because if you do have enough money for Firewall, which I know a lot of people do, but if you do have a Firewall, you can basically search out Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is also a really good hand trap all around, but let's get into the profile, guys. So guys, starting off on this profile, I'm going to be explaining to you what World Legacy World Chalice does. Now, this isn't really an in-depth profile, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick rundown. So it does have 30 effects. 2 of them we'll not go over because they're less relevant, but his middle effect, the one at the first dot there, if you want to go ahead and see it, I'm going to go ahead and zoom up real quick. So, as you can see, if a monster, or sorry, if this face-up normal summon / set card leaves the field, special summon 2 World Chalice monsters from your deck, except World Legacy World Chalice. So, what this basically allows you to do is allows you to go ahead and get 2 monsters other than itself, which most of the time what you'll be searching is a Vanilla and Lee will search Guard Dragon. But if you use Lee to search World Chalice, then you're going to go ahead and summon the Vanilla and just summon the Guard Dragon right off the bat. Okay, so next up, guys, we have Lee. This card is a card I literally just mentioned, but this is, of course, the deck Stratos. It searches all the World Chalice names, along with also having a really prominent recycle effect, which basically send 1 monster from either your hand or your field to the graveyard to add this card back to your hand. And if you didn't know, all of the World Chalice Link monsters float, so this basically gives you another monster for combos if you use a World Chalice Link monster for a Link summon, because it can special summon Lee. She also is a level 2 Light Fairy, which is something that'll be really good and coming up in the profile. Okay guys, next up we only have 1 World Chalice Guard Dragon. Now I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know a lot of people like this card, but really it doesn't really do much other than having a necessity to be into the deck so that you can actually continue your combos because of his really prominent secondary effect, which basically just special summons a Vanilla from grave by banishing himself. Now, one thing you do need to keep in mind when countering this deck or a mirror match is that you can basically negate his effect with DD Crow by banishing the target the card that it targets. So you basically banish 2 of your opponent's cards and stop their plays, which is a really good play because it usually stops them from making a draw 3 off of Ningirsu. He also does have a hand trap effect, which is one that I don't usually use because it doesn't stop field wipes, and that's probably the most prominent thing you would do. It only negates cards that target a Link monster, and really there's not a lot of stuff that this will really counter. So Eve is just better, so we only run 1 just for the combos. We don't ever use this hand trap effect because even if it's in our hand, we'll summon it and use it for a combo. Next up, guys, this is basically the brick of the engine, or like the Gem Knight to the World Chalice. It's a vanilla, just like Gem Knights are, but you could run this at 2 with no loss of consistency. Actually, you get less consistency by running 3. But running 3 allows you to get into a Baguska play a lot easier, and that's one of the most prominent things that you want to be going into with a budget build like this one. Okay guys, I run 6 hand traps as you can see currently. This is the part where I say that it's not budget, and that is the the Ash Blossom over here. But basically one of the best lineups you can get for if you want to go for the most budget, just 3 Crow and 3 Lancia is really prominent because Infernoids are coming back into the meta with the hit of Spiral. it can counter ABCs, and one of the best parts about it is that it does stop evenly matched, which is really good because if cards can't be banished, evenly matched cannot be activated because it banishes all your cards face down. DD Crow, like I said before, has some weird rulings and time windows that are kind of not really that bad, but it could have been better. But DD Crow is really, really good because a lot of decks use graveyard effects, and being able to banish those cards, like especially against spirals, being able to banish the quick fix from grave just allows you to stop them completely, and it's a pretty good shutdown card. If you do have the money, 3 Ash Blossom and 2 Ghost Ogre and 1 Crow is probably really good, or possibly just 2 Ash, 2 Ogre, and 2 Crow. Those are like some of the best ones. You could also do was it Drone Lockbird, but that's like, if you're gonna go for Drone Lockbird, you might as well just drop the Ash. Ash is really good, and it is worth the $90 or however much it is right now to get it. So if you can get an Ash Blossom and you already have a usable deck, getting that will just up your chances of winning every duel. And for those people with OCD, I know I got 1 super, 1 gold. I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix that. I want to get 3 supers because I don't like the gold ones. But yeah. So I am trying to max rarity this deck, guys, so when I do finish it, I'll just go ahead and do a video reviewing my max rarity, because it'll be expensive, because then this is an ulti, and so is Brilliant Fusion. But yeah, this is it for the hand trap, guys. You can brick on hand trap, so hand traps is basically up to personal preference, but this deck is currently at 40, so if you do remove hand traps, you must replace other cards. I don't really have any recommendations. Just go ahead and do a little bit more research on the deck, and you should be fine. Okay, guys, next up, we do run Triple Venus, Triple Stein Ball. This is a pretty obvious choice. This basically having any Venus at all. So basically we're kind of running Venus Turbo because this entire budget build works around Venus, and I have a few engines that work with Venus. But basically for the Venus engine, I might as well just show you them all now. This is, well actually no, we'll get to it. I'll just tell you when it's part of the engine, but what we have here is all you need for the Venus engine. You can drop Venus to 2, but I really don't recommend it because not drawing into a Venus, we have about 3 or 4 different combos that include Venus. I do have a tutorial on my channel where it's 3 different combos using Venus. So you can go ahead and look at that to see how to use your Venus once you get them. But Venus is really prominent, and it's basically a 1-card link 4 if you can pull it off. And that's just by itself. So you can just add more stuff, and if you brick and you have no extenders in your hand, but you have a Venus, you can go ahead and summon a Topologic Bomber Dragon, a Borlo Dragon, or even a Firewall. Although Firewall's not really good if you can't really summon anything else, but you can summon a Borlo, take your opponent's monster. It's just extremely powerful. If you guys didn't know, she's got a non-1 turn effect, pay 500 life points for summon Mystical Shine Ball, so you can summon all 3 for 1500, and you can use stuff like Exodius to recycle them all back and summon them all back again for another 1500 life points, but 3 more monsters, that's not too bad. Guys, this is one of those supporting engines of Venus because both Venus itself and all of these Shine Balls are fairy type. If you just use the Venus combo, you will end with 4 fairies and grave, allowing you to special summon your Archlord Krista for basically a special summon lockdown. Most of the time you'll have an Eve supporting it, or maybe even an Eve lock and another monster like Ningirsu, Topologic Bomber, Borlo, possibly even like an Exodius with extra attack. I've seen that before, but this card is just insane. It locks both players out special summoning, and if your opponent does find a way to get around it, it goes back to the top of the deck, and then you can summon it next turn because you probably still have 4 fairies in grave. So it's an absolutely amazing card. So run this at 3 if you're not running Firewall Dragon. This is a semi-supporting engine for the Venus because it combos with Venus in order to get a pretty good play. But not only that, it does shuffle all monsters back into the deck. So whenever you do activate this, you can recycle all of your materials, and it's just amazing. But that's not all. What it can also do is gain 1000 attack for every vanilla in your grave, and if it does attack, you can ditch any monster to your graveyard. So if you do use the Venus combo and you leave this guy on field, then what you're going to be able to obtain is a 3k beater, and then when he attacks, he gains another 4k if you do ditch a vanilla, and if you're doing more combos with maybe some World Chalice names, like the other vanillas in the deck, you can get this guy up to 6k attack, which is amazing, and if you're running some more vanilla-based builds, you can get even higher than that. So this card's great, but you do brick on it if you do draw it, like, in your hand, and you don't have any other combos, you don't have Venus, so we only run it at 2. Okay guys, next up we have the Brilliant Engine. So this deck does run enough bricks on its own. Adding more is obviously not wanted, but both of these have really amazing effects. So if this card is sent to the graveyard from a card effect, whether it is Lee or if it is something else, especially a Brilliant Fusion, you can add 1 vanilla back from your graveyard to your hand. Most of the time you're not going to be getting this effect off because it's mostly going to be the first card in your hand that you do activate. But this guy, you cannot brick on him in this deck unless you don't draw a Lee, because add Lee to hand, this guy sent to grave from hand, supposed to summon a vanilla, use that vanilla for an Imduke, link with the Imduke, supposed to summon the Lee, and you basically just got like a free 2 monsters. So it's like really, really powerful. So it's really hard to brick on this one, and even this one can use its effect. So if you add it back to hand and you use a Lee and you send this to grave, and let's say you still have Venus on field, you can add the Shine Ball to hand, and then Venus can actually special summon it again. So basically it's pretty hard to brick with these 2 Gem Knights right here. You can run 2 of these or 2 of these, whatever you choose. I like just 1 of each, just so that we have 2 Gem Knights in deck. One of them we can't brick on. Well, you can brick on this because adding the vanilla to your hand is not always the best. But yeah, it's hard to brick with these. Okay guys, this is the card I was telling you about. Or not, I didn't really tell you about it yet, but this is why Venus is also really good in the deck for being a level 2 like fairy. Because Transmodify, what you do is you send 1 monster you control to grave that has a attribute, and I think it was a type. And then what you do is special summon 1 monster from your deck with the exact same attribute and type, but 1 level higher. And basically what you can do is you can unbrick Shine Balls from hand, because you send a Shine Ball, summon a Venus, or you can send a Lee, summon a Venus, and it's absolutely broken. And this card is amazing. You can't brick on it, because if you don't have any of the targets in your hand, then you will brick on it, and it'll be a dead card in hand. But if you do draw one of them, somehow special summon it, especially Lee, then you can get the Venus and really extend your plays to the fullest potential. Okay guys, next up we have the 1-ofs. So most of these cards are just must-haves in any combo deck, such as Soul Charge, Foolish Burial. Mind Control now is really powerful because you can just link with your opponent's monsters or take their best monster, especially a Masterpiece, because if Masterpiece didn't use a spell to be summoned, you can take your opponent's Masterpiece, and that's just amazing. There's a lot of varying levels, so Reasoning really gets its effect off most of the time, and if they do declare level 2 and they send Lee, then it doesn't matter because Lee can add herself back to hand. I do run the Mass Change engine because World Legacy World Chalice is a Dark level 5, meaning if you Mass Change him, he becomes a Dark Claw, which is a play I've actually seen myself going into a lot, and actually I've won because of that 2 times, and I've only done like, I think 7 or so matches with this build so far. So whenever I do see it, it always is able to get its effect off because I can just summon the World Legacy World Chalice back with Aurum, or possibly with Firewall. I don't have a Firewall, but yeah. Guys, that was it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and get into the extra deck. But my side deck, I'm just going to go ahead and give it out to you guys. It is not built for competitive play. It's kind of just stuff that I think is pretty cool. So this can actually counter Baguska, but with the link format, they can just link into well, it's a link 3. Yeah, they can basically just link it to a link 3 if you do something. So that's a problem. We do side the Kaiju engine, and then there's some other stuff that we did have in the past. But yeah, this is just kind of not very important. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a quick glance, and we're going to go right into the extra deck. Okay guys, I kind of just put them all out there, but this is all of the World Chalice Link monsters that I run, which basically goes 1, 2, 3, 3, which is probably the best numbers I could come up with. I was running 2 Link Spiders to Imduke, but I always find myself being able to go into Imduke and getting an extra draw 3 off of Ningirsu, because there's a lot of 2-card combos that'll get you a draw 2 off of Ningirsu, but if you use an Imduke for the Link 1, and you combine that with Proxy Value for Ningirsu, if you have any World Chalice in hand, you can summon that and get draw 3, so it allows for a lot of good plays. So I changed this to 3. Eve is very powerful. It protects your monsters from card effects, and if something points towards it, it's basically invincible. And if you have 2 right next to each other, it's a really powerful soft lock. It's called the Eve lock, and basically neither one of them can be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by battle, and they can protect monsters on each side, so it's really good. Ningirsu right here draws you 3 cards if it points 3 World Chalice monsters. He also has a really good non-targeting, non-destruction removal, where he basically sends one card from both players' field to the graveyard, so non-targeting, non-destruction. We also do have 2 Orem just for safety. I find myself needing another Orem a lot. Like, I took it, like, whenever I run 2, I never need the second. Whenever I run 1, I always need the second. It's kind of whatever, but it is good for safety, and it's just a really good card, and you really don't want to lose this card, because what it allows you to do is special summon a monster from your graveyard, and it's any monster. So let's say you have too many fairies in grave, go ahead and use Lee to send Krista to grave, and then you can summon it back with him if you tribute a world chalice, but summon any monster. So it's really, really powerful, but it has to be in one of its link zones, so do keep that in mind. Guys, this is what I run for generic link monsters, or semi-generic. So you run 1 Proxy Dragon for generic link 2, 1 Link Spider for semi-generic link 1, and 1 Top Logic Bomber Dragon or Borlo Dragon for a generic link 4, semi-generic. You can also just trade out these 2 for Firewall, or like that, just that one for Firewall. If you can get your hands on 1 Firewall, that's all you really need. 1 Firewall is just it helps itself, really. So, yeah, that's basically it for the Link monsters. Let's just go ahead and finish off the extra deck. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and display these. Yeah, nothing really important. Dark Law for that. Brilliant Fusion goes into this. Mashing 2 goes into this, and 2 Backend goes into this. So that's all you really need to know for the extra monsters in the extra deck. Go ahead and like the video, guys, if you enjoyed it, and also thank you for clicking on this video. I'm really trying to get some help with some people getting my videos a little bit more recommended. So if you guys have any tags that you think would get my video shown up a little bit more, go ahead and tell me in the comments below, because I'm always trying to find a few more tags to get my videos out there so that I can help as many players as I possibly can, since I am a budget player and possibly so are you. And if you want to see some like competitive budget profiles, don't mind the Ash Blossom. If you want to see some competitive budget profiles, go ahead and click that subscribe and stay tuned, because I'll have more profiles coming in the future. So that's all I have to say for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.